No be juju
The African Mythology Podcast you never knew you needed.
vibes.
Each episode will recount tales of mind-blowing mythological figures and analyze their stories and characters, searching for parallels between the diverse African pantheons as well as popular culture on the continent and beyond. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Hear the stories that reflect the way we were and who we are. Subscribe to Nobi Juju, the African Mythology Podcast you never knew you needed.
It's alright, so please, no be sure.
Okay, hello everybody. Yes. We're actually back, sooner than expected, I'm sure, for you guys.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to No Be Juju podcast. Back
Welcome.
again.
We are back again and we're so happy to be back. Anyways, guys, hope you had a good week. This is very
Yes,
important. Hope you had a good week, pleasant week. How was your week? How was life?
just a normal, regular week.
I can relate.
Chilling, vibing, working.
And honestly, that is kind of why we do this podcast, just to bring a little bit of, a spark into your weeks, a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of something.
Razzle dazzle.
Razzle dazzle, like a sprinkle. We have a sprinkle sound effect, something cute at this point.
Yes, we will. But
Yes.
yeah, thank you for those coming back to listen. You're welcome. Welcome back, and
Mm-hmm.
welcome to new listeners as well. Um, Please, we also have a very recent podcast episode that's released. If you could be so kind as to have a little listen, but also after listening to this, please listen to this one before you go there.
First, yeah,
Yes,
please. We're
yes.
not saying stop this or like, okay, pause, stop, go there, never to be seen again. Definitely listen to this first and then, yeah, go back. And even if you want to peruse, some of our other older episodes, this podcast is all about connecting the past with the present and time. What is time? Time is what? Nothing. It's a figment. I don't know. I'll stop talking. Okay.
Okay,
But
okay.
peruse the episodes, enjoy them, and let us know your thoughts. Yeah, so actually I'll just say what I wanted to thank you guys for, because I feel like it's a little bit mysterious, like why did I stop. I was just going to say thanks, guys, for the engagement. We see your comments, we see your likes, we see your interest. And
Woo!
honestly, we encourage you to engage as much as possible with us. And if there are things, in our episodes or in the podcast where you're like, guys, maybe guys, you could have, given us a little bit more, or maybe, this information, I know a little bit more about it. Just let us know. We're open to learning. We're learning alongside all of you. And yeah, we love to hear from you.
Yes. I mean, think I we have some very kind comments actually, and please don't obviously don't be too mean because we cry. But
Yes, we do. We might actually cry.
we might cry, and we might cry on the podcast. So if you don't
Yeah.
want to hear us cry on the podcast, please,
We just be
please,
wailing.
just
Imagine,
wailing.
like literally just coming onto the podcast, and the first thing you hear is just people wailing,
Wait.
weeping and wailing. It's like,
So
you guys.
if you don't want to hear that, just
Yeah.
be nice. But thank you for all the sort of constructive critique. We really appreciate it, and it is not taken personally. We take it constructively. But thank you, and please, yeah, keep giving feedback on how we could improve our podcast and your listening experience as well. If the sound is really horrible, please let us know. We're always trying to work on this out. But yes, we have a great episode for you today. As per the title, we're coming back to Sinners,
Whoop
just
whoop.
this endless pot of content and culture and, you know, um, amazing film. Oscar award winning. I can say that now. Oscar
Oscar
award
award
winning.
winning. Oscar
Yes,
award
clock
winning.
it.
Honestly, like we always knew, like with Sinners, from the moment we watched the film, that it wouldn't be a one episode kind of thing. There was so much richness in it, so many themes covered, so many critiques, so much thought, leadership regarding a lot of um the themes and the, the different history that the sinners and mythologies that sinners draws from. So we always knew, there'd be so much to speak on, and we're so happy for the cast and the crew, getting those well-deserved awards, because yeah, it really brought something to the culture that we hadn't seen before. So yeah,
Yeah.
very, very cool.
And it's crazy how, like, yeah, because creativity is so interesting, because like you just make something that people, you didn't even know that people needed. Like now, like I feel like I can't even imagine like black media without Sinners anymore. It just seems like it was
Ooh.
such something that was really needed, like, in the
Yeah.
world of black, fantasy and,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
horror and everything. So yeah,
Yeah.
really, really, really good. So we're talking about that, about some elements of that today. Um, but before we get into that, as you know, well, you might not know because it's the first time here. We like to talk about. I just assumed. Very presumptuous of me.
Yeah.
We like to talk about our vibes of the week, which is just any media or you see anything that we've been watching, reading, listening to that has been interesting to us that we'd like to share. So I guess I'll start with mine.
Vibe of the week.
Yes,
See?
please. Please do that.
Yes, please. So, I am going back into the animation world. Yes, I couldn't. The real world was a little bit too scary, so I had to step back.
You're like, I'm going back to my safe space, my
Yes,
safe place.
yes, I'm going back to my roots. What's all this? Why are they real humans? Anyway, I'm talking about. It's not anime this time.
Oh.
It's an animation though, animated series called Invincible. I don't know if you've heard about it
Oh,
before.
yes. I've watched like one episode or two episodes, but wow. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so if anybody doesn't know, Invincible is basically like a show based on a comic. Um it's similar to like, Marvel, DC kind of thing, but it's obviously different universe. But Invincible basically follows the main character is like half alien, called Viltrumite. That's what his sort of alien part is called, and half human. And he's basically has superpowers, of course, kind of like a Superman esque type
Mm,
of
yeah.
vibe. And in the sort of first, I mean, I enjoy it for like more for like in the beginning, more for like the action, and the storyline is really good as well, and the main characters like personal journey and things. But one thing that has been really interesting to me in the latest season was looking into the Viltrumites' history, which is the half alien part of the main character.
Mhm.
Um, and the main sort of plot point of it is that the main character's father kind of came to Earth to conquer the Earth, basically, and then he ends up sort of, starting a family there, kind of as part of the conquering thing, because their Viltrumite population is dwindling due to a parasite or a disease or something. So they're looking for other planets that would be compatible with their with their sort of life basically, and they can procreate with to further their empire. But I think it was interesting, like we got to see more into like the Viltrumites history. So
Oh
they're sort of like
my.
an imperialist
Yeah.
society, very like,
Yeah.
they love to conquer, and they feel like they have the universe is their right, and they have the
Hmm.
right to take over other people's planets, and
Mhm.
things like
Mhm.
that. And we saw
Mm.
in a recent episode about how they indoctrinate their people, so it's sort of like passed
Ooh.
down. And so everybody has this mindset that, oh yes, we it's our birthright to conquer the universe.
Hmm.
And it's in the most recent episodes, like you see the main character's father, who is initially was one that came to Earth to sort of kind of like conquer it, and then sort of going through a journey of actually realizing that what his beliefs are wrong. And then we see his journey coming to terms with the fact that all he's known his entire life, it's hurting a lot of people, and him trying to make amends with his family and also with Earth, because he killed a lot of people on Earth as well. But he had this belief that he was doing the right thing because he was, doing what he was supposed to do. But and I think it just shows like, the the very, it's the journey of like everybody goes through it, like, having things that you thought were right, or and then realizing, oh, actually my belief about this was very wrong, and then having to come to terms and trying not to feel like, having to come to terms like, oh, actually that belief I held was actually very hurtful to people, or things like that. And also there was like the imperialist nature of the Viltrumites as well, mirroring a lot of things we're seeing now in the world. So yeah, I think I just found those parallels very interesting. Looking back at the most recent episodes, but so I think, yeah,
Wow.
give it a watch.
I
It's really
will.
good. There's lots of action as well. Obviously, if you like Marvel and things, but there's also this sort of deeper storyline about more serious things. But yeah,
Yeah, no, we're seeing this kind of emerging like roster of animations, whether it's anime or whether it's like Hollywood from Hollywood, that have these deep complex social themes underneath all the fun and the adventure, and yeah, just really thought provoking. So that sounds really cool. So what season are you on at the moment?
the latest one I can't remember. I think it's season 4
Season 4, okay,
that
cool,
I'm on at the
cool.
moment.
Oh, wow. Okay. No,
But yeah,
I mean, I even when I the reason why I started it was because I remember the reviews have always been excellent. So I might need to
hmm
revisit. I might need to
yeah,
revisit. That's a good one.
yep.
That's a lovely vibe. That's a lovely vibe. So my vibe,
Over to you.
thank you. I just went to my vibe. I did not even wait. I was like, my vibe. My vibe. Well, my vibe this week, in keeping with our sinners discussion focus of this episode, it's actually music. Actually, it's a music. It's some a couple of songs that I've been really enjoying recently. So one of them is it's not a new song, but it's a really they're just some songs that just transport you back to like a certain time period, and they're very nostalgic and they're very excellent as well. So you're enjoying the music, but at the same time you're like, ooh, I want to know the backstory behind this song. I want to know how did this come to fruition. I want to know more about the artist. So one of the songs uh that I'd like to spotlight is Turned Away by Chucky Booker. So it's an 80s kind of R&B type song.
Ooh.
I think 1989. I'm very much into like 80s music. That's my favorite like decade of music, from like in terms of kind of pop American music. Uh yeah. So it's a really really beautiful song, Turned Away by Chucky Booker. And then
Oh.
I learned, yeah, so I learned more about it. So I learned more about a little bit about the artist. So he's like a composer and like an arranger, and he's also like produced for other artists. And at the time he wrote the song, and at the time he sang it, obviously at the time it kind of came out, he was really young.
Mm,
And apparently it was quite unusual for him to get kind of signed and things, so early in his career. But due to the strength of the music and how much it resonated, I think it was the number one hit on the
oh
Billboard
wow.
R&B, yeah, Billboard R&B charts that year. It drew attention of other emerging artists. So there was a particular, I saw a story, I came across a story on Instagram. I think it was the podcast. It's not. I don't think it's a podcast, but I think it's an Instagram account called like Golden Era Stories. And
Mm,
basically, Tank, who's like, if I'm sure a lot of our listeners would know Tank, big R&B artist. He was talking to one of the singers, group members from another 80s R&B group called Troop, and he was just saying how like he heard that song Turned Away, and he was so like moved by it
oh
that he was
wow.
like, I need you to write the same exact song for me. Like, we need this, me and my group, we need this hit. So basically, like, he wrote a beautiful song for them. The guy kind of like pestered him and just like, stay went to his house like every day, apparently, like just hanging around him to like get try and get him to write and produce. So I think he wrote the record, he produced it. And that song is called Spread My Wings, and that song is also beautiful, like incredible, beautiful, beautiful song.
Mm,
Props to Chucky Booker. And that song also was a number one on the Billboard Hot 100 R&B charts.
wow.
Yeah, but he kind of, if you listen to these two songs, he did kind of use similar. I mean, if it's
He
not broke,
reheated his
don't fi-
nachos.
he did. He really did. But they gave it their own, the troop. They put their own spin on it. So I remember I actually first listened to the song last night. When you listen to certain songs, you're like, oh yeah, this is like such a cute, like, love song, very wistful, yearning, all of that. And I was like, I saw the video and I saw the Wikipedia, and they were like, oh yeah, one of the things that really, made the song travel was the dance moves. I said, dancing? How you dancing to this? But I watched the video, and boy, were they really danced. You
You
guys
know
need
they
to
loved the dance back then.
they
They loved
they
the
love
dance to anything.
they were no. They were like, the rent was due. They were like, we got bills to pay. This is our time, this is our moment, this is our chance. So amazing song, beautiful music video, amazing choreography, beautiful backstory behind it, and like the influence of Turned Away by Chucky Booker. Yeah, so I'd just like to spotlight those two incredible songs that I think really, they really are almost like time capsules to like generations and times past. And yeah, speaks to the influence of the black R&B, black American R&B, on the world, on global music culture, which yeah, some of the rhythm and blues, that's what R&B stands for. So that's some of the things that we're going to be focusing and discussing in today's episode. So yeah, props to Chucky, props to Troop.
Yeah,
If you've not listened to those two songs, Spotify them, YouTube, whatever, check them out. So
I shall
beautiful.
give it a listen.
Please, please, please do.
True. I want to see those dance steps, man. I'm very
They were
excited.
good though. They were good. The dance moves were really good, though. They were not playing. The thing is, what I love about 80s artists is the seriousness with which they. I mean, I know
They
people are
didn't
serious
play.
now,
They didn't
but
play.
then they really didn't play. But they didn't play. But they still looked like they were having so much fun. There was so much passion in what they were doing, and it wasn't so corporate. Like, I don't know how to say it. Like, now I feel like I know people are also serious and working hard, but sometimes it feels quite like you can almost see this. You can, in your mind, you can imagine their manager or the choreographer person, do this move, do a dance like this. Oh, the lights, come here, like. But then it was so
Very
natural and
natural.
just free flowing, and it was just talent. Like, so I love that decade so much, and I love the R&B music, the soul music, even the electronic pop music from that decade. Just beautiful. So yeah, please check it out.
Can't wait to have a listen. And very topical for today's
Yeah,
episode
and it
as
wasn't
well.
planned. It wasn't planned, actually.
It was this a scheme set up by Timmy?
It was not.
What is it?
It was not planned. It was not planned. Honestly, it wasn't planned. I don't even know how I came across it. I think, Instagram, you know how Instagram just has this random algorithm, and it's
Yeah.
just like presents
I mean, to be
whatever
fair, this is the
you.
music that you listen to anyway.
Yeah,
Like
this is
type of
it.
music
That
you
is
listen to
true. I'm
anyway.
like,
So
random algorithm. It's like,
random
yeah,
algorithm. I was like, this is actually
it's pretty
your
spot on.
algorithm.
It's pretty spot on. But still, yeah, yeah. Check that out if you haven't already.
Really cool. Right. Well, into today's episode. So today we're talking about sort of two aspects of sinners. So one, we're going to be talking about Annie and her role in Sinners and Hoodoo, and then we're going to talk about Sammy and the blues, and the whole sort of role that plays in sort of the African mythology or African diaspora. Um, so yeah, let's get into Annie and Hoodoo.
Get into it.
Woo!
Get into
Put
it.
is it Sorry, I can't put confetti in an audio.
Yeah, guys.
Clapping.
Mm,
Anyway, I don't know. I
we
don't
might
know.
have maybe let's have a cultural sound of excitement.
Cultural sound effect. You know what? You do the audio. You find something. I'm not sure
Okay.
what that means,
All right.
but
Okay.
so if anyone doesn't know, who hasn't watched it, why haven't you watched it? What are you waiting for? What's like? What are you actually waiting for?
Please go and
Um,
watch, yeah?
yes.
Because
You missed the cinema rollout, but there's still a chance. There's still a chance. You can still watch it. Um, but yeah, Annie is a character played by the beautiful, gracious, elegant Wumi Musako. Lover.
woo!
We
Snap,
love
snap,
her.
snap. We love
Snap,
her.
snap, snap. And in the film, she is a hoodoo conjurer and herbalist. And she's basically sort of like the protector role um of the film. And I would say it just has like a very sort of strong
Hmm.
maternal energy throughout the film as well. She's sort of the sage that everyone turns to for help in the movie, even
Yes.
before disaster strikes. She still sought for her help and advice and her sort of resources. She's the wife of the character Smoke, and they're sort of partly estranged after the death of their son in the movie. And basically, it's her hoodoo knowledge that informs a lot of the way everyone prepares for and defends themselves against, the vampires in the movie. Spoiler alert! Sorry, I mean, I think we already said we give you a warning, but this is about sinners. There's probably going to be very mild spoilery information, so please be warned. Um, So she's the one that figures out that they're dealing with vampires in the first place, and then is able to impart her information about the vampires, you know, teaching them all the rules, that they can't enter without invitation, and about garlic and holy water, etc. So, what exactly is hoodoo? We'll see. Annie is a hoodoo practitioner. So hoodoo is a spiritual tradition or practice created by African Americans that were enslaved, and it is drawn from sort of Central and West African religious practices which were brought during the transatlantic slave trade, um, rather than voodoo, which is a religion that has its own sort of deities. Hoodoo is much more of a practice. Um, as sort of is well documented, slaves often were forced to leave their traditional religions behind. It was actually criminalized.
Yeah.
And so hoodoo was made as a blend of African religious practices and Christian practices in an attempt to hold on and to preserve their culture while obviously avoiding reprimand. So it was a very sort of well guarded, protected
Yeah.
practice. Um, so, for example, psalms might have been put inside mojo bags, which are sort of spiritual packets
Mm-hmm.
for protection. And Annie actually has some of those in the movie as well, and uses them. And I just think that in this way, though, hoodoo is really a testament to the resilience and faithfulness of the African Americans to their cultures and origin, because they valued their culture so much that they protected it and still tried to sort of pass it down from generation to generation.
Yeah.
Um, and there's this amazing quote from this journalist from the Nashville Tennessean. Her name was Gabrielle Chanel. So I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your name. I'm so sorry. um we're not very good pronunciation on this
We
show.
are very
And
bad.
we're very bad actually. But Gabrielle, you know hats off to you for this quote. um she said hoodoo is a mystery to many because it had to be. Although many attempted to destroy it, somehow it persevered. And I think that sort of that quote perfectly encapsulates sort of everything about hoodoo. um so hoodoo is sort of blends religious practices from the various parts of the African diaspora, the ordinary religion of the Igbo people, the Yoruba and Vodun religions of the Fon and Ewe people, and the Bantu Congo tradition in Central Africa. And I'm sure there are other regions as well and other religions. And sort of Wumi Musaku, the actor that plays Annie herself, said that hoodoo is partly from the Yoruba religion of Ifa, and she's a Yoruba woman, and she didn't know anything about it,
Wow.
and said that she feels like she found a little piece of herself within Annie that she didn't know existed, and she's feels more connected to her ancestry as a result. And it just shows that like there's so many. I'm sure there so many people that don't even know sort of the origins, and maybe knowing about this might help them feel more connected to their origins and their ancestry as well. And hoodoo is also known by other names such as root work and conjure in the present day. It is sort of rooted in ancestral origins. There's this book that both me and Timmy have read called Legend Born,
Oh,
and there is so
yeah.
and they reminded me. So so actually looking back, they were practicing hoodoo in that book, but they called it
Yes.
rootcraft in the book, and you
Yes.
can see sort of the strong ancestral um, energy that is within the sort of practices and the magical practices in that book. And how protective the ancestors are of the main character of the book. Um, and yeah, I'm just realizing that now. I didn't even I didn't know much about Hoodoo myself.
Yeah.
Um, and so in Hoodoo, ancestors are not distant, but they're a present guiding force that offers protection and opens doors. And oh god, another name I might butcher. Keka Arawo of Black Enterprise, um, another journalist, underscored how Annie serves as the bridge between sort of religion and Black ancestry, and assessing that sort of her ability to see what others can't, her
Yeah.
fierce protection of the community. That's what Hoodoo is all about. And principles of Hoodoo basically include respecting other people's free will, doing no harm, consent, of
Hmm.
respecting tradition, and of responsibility. So
Wow.
very honorable things.
Hmm.
And despite all this the honorable nature of Hoodoo, um, it obviously has a bad representation and stigma still, unfortunately. Even sort of within and outside the movie, you can see past the movie where there's some skepticism about Annie's practices,
Yes.
and some people still think sort of Hoodoo is quote unquote evil or demonic, and some even think that the film villainizes Christianity and holds voodoo above it. And I just feel like that's looking at watching the movie and everything. I feel like that's quite a simplistic way
Yeah.
to think about it. I don't know what your
Yeah.
thoughts are, if you have any thoughts about that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's quite reductive, and this demonization of traditions rooted, in African culture, Black culture, cultures related to the diaspora. It's something that we've seen kind of consistently throughout history, and yeah, across different communities and cultures and peoples, and it begs the question, and that's probably why, Ryan made this movie and titled this movie Sinners. Everyone in the movies committing some sort of sin, and
Mhm.
it's almost like Annie's sin is she's this, root crafter hoodoo
Mm.
lady. Yeah, so that is her sinful kind of act that she's done,
Mm.
and we see the conflicts also in the film with the Christianity and these different cultural and beliefs as well. And yeah, I think it's a complex conversation.
Incredibly complex.
It's incredibly complex. It's one of the reasons we started this podcast, because we just felt like um to completely dismiss these cultures and completely dismiss these histories and
Mhm.
completely dismiss yeah, these practices completely, like not know anything about it because, oh, it's demonic, even though it's a huge part of your history and your culture. It seems like a misguided thing to do, and it seems like it contributes to people not really knowing themselves, not really knowing where they come from, and um, uh, self-esteem, identity, and all of these
Yeah.
things. So it's obviously a really complex conversation, but these we this is why we Sinners really resonated with so many people, because it made us have these thought-provoking, conversations and discussions, and really understanding, okay,
Definitely.
these things come from. Okay, even this demonization, where does that come from? What is that rooted in? And in that greater understanding of where all of that comes from, we can start to make sense of, our personal and individual beliefs, with
Mhm.
it, and how we reconcile all of that with, yeah, our present day,
Mm.
struggles and everyday life,
Yeah, for
so
sure.
yeah, it's
And
yeah.
yeah, I think probably I don't want to get into Ryan Coogler's mind. He's a genius, but I think you can see that he sort of explores these tensions in the film, the tension between that sort of Black Americans and also just Black people in general can sometimes feel with sort of Western religions like Christianity, because unfortunately it has been used as as a tool for oppression,
Yeah.
and not only sort of but for Black people, but also in this film we see this talked about by Remick, who is of Irish origin, and just talking about one of the key moments of this movie is when Sammy is confronted by Remick, who is, if anybody hasn't watched it, the main vampire sort of antagonist. And in the moments of fear, Sammy starts quoting the Lord's Prayer, and then
Ooh.
surprisingly, Remick, begins to quote it with him, and it's like, what's going on?" And then
Um.
yeah, it's like screw, and the Irish sort of vampire then explains, then says this quote that still gives me chills. When those men took my father's land, they forced those words onto us too, but they still bring me comfort. And it's just like something, that whole sort of
Yes.
grappling. And I think that's the whole point of Hoodoo, like grappling with
Yeah.
something that was used to oppress you, and then using that as actually a tool for strength. And then
Hmm.
Hoodoo sort of combines those, you know, their culture origin with Christianity, and use it
Hmm.
as a tool for strength and for comfort, um and so I think sort of the film explores that those tensions.
Yeah,
um
really
yeah,
well. Does it really well, like really beautifully and really elegantly. And they say great films, they don't like he's not trying to force anything down anybody's
exactly,
throat.
exactly.
He's literally just opening up the conversation and making us think and making us reflect. And honestly, this is something Ryan has done in so many of his films. When we first watched Black Panther, I remember we watched Black Panther together, remember, in
Yeah,
2018, and we literally were talking about it for like 5 6 hours
yeah. Actually,
afterwards. We didn't go to bed. We were
I
literally
was
in
crazy.
university. We were in
Yeah.
university. We were shook because we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what we would be walking into. We'd
Mm-hmm.
never seen anything like that before. And we were just all up, like talking about it. Me, you, one of our other friends, for hours. And that's what he does. He really, really, brings the culture, showcases the culture in the most beautiful way, but also does it in a way that provokes discussion and dialogue
Yeah.
and um yeah.
Yeah, I think people feel like it's like I said, like people that he's trying to tell people what to think, and I think, yeah, like I said, he's just trying to invoke sort of conversation and thoughts and ideas, and people to question, oh, I believe that, why do I believe that? Or like
Yes.
it's just like a film to explore yourself and your relationship with the the world and subject matter in the film. So, yeah, in summary, Hoodoo is just a testament to sort of, African American strength and perseverance in trying to keep a hold of their culture despite adversity and despite resistance. Um, and yeah, that's Hoodoo.
Amazing, amazing. I mean, it was so cool to kind of, yeah, learn more about yeah, the origins and the significance of those practices. So from my side, so I will be doing a slight deep dive similar to Laddie's done Annie and Hoodoo. So I'll be doing a little bit, just a slight one, guys, a slight
A
one,
little dip
please.
in the
Oh,
toe.
a
A
little
little dip.
deep
Yeah,
in
this is
the
this
toe.
is not the entirety of Hoodoo,
This
please.
is not,
This is a
yeah.
dip in the,
This is
like we
a
said, we
deep,
try to inspire curiosity.
yeah,
You
similar
might
to,
want to call us Ryan
yeah,
Coogler.
yeah, similar to what I
You
was gonna
know,
say. I was gonna say. They'll say these people, what is wrong with these
Delusions
girls?
of grandeur.
The
Didn't
delusion.
I compare to Rihanna?
Rihanna, last episode was Rihanna. Now we're talking about Ryan. These people will just be like, please, 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 don't mention my name.
Who are
Don't
you?
mention my name. Who are you? Please stop.
We can
Please. I
dream. We
don't
can
know.
dream.
We don't know you. Who are these people? They're like, please, I beg.
Please stop.
So, basically, this episode, I will be discussing a little bit about Sinners, Sammy, the blues.
Ooh.
Ooh. So obviously, before we get into myths and history and the symbolism, the story of Sinners starts with one character, and that's Sammy. So he's a young black boy in 1930s Mississippi. He's a sharecropper, musician, and he's known by as Preacher Boy because his dad is a pastor. And that nickname alone tells you everything about the central conflicts that his character faces. He's kind of caught between two worlds. So the father of the church represents discipline, structure, moral expectation, the beliefs that music should be to serve and exalt God. And then he's torn between so his father and the church and the blues. This is for him is expression. This for him is expressing not only his desires, it's freedom, it's a dream for him. It's an escape
Mm,
from pain that he has felt. His father warns him directly that this is dancing with the devil, and as Christians, the devil, you don't want to be dancing with the devil. So Sammy is like, he feels like the blues for him is not just a hobby. It's not just or something he likes to do. It's something more personal. So it's a way he is himself. It's a way he processes his emotions, his feelings, and it's also a way to get out of the field. It's a way of improving his life, making a future for himself. So he's really struggling with that. It's really key because Sammy isn't necessarily choosing between good and evil. As Lade has said, this is
mm,
not about, oh, this is bad, this is good, black and white. It's a little bit more layered and nuanced.
mm,
Sammy, I feel, was more choosing between self definition and containment. And this is something that a lot of people have felt. Even obviously this is very much rooted in cultural context. Sinners rooted in steep rooted in cultural and historical context. But even if you look in kind of contemporary life, there's a lot of people that have been in that place where you have this. We kind of spoke about it actually a little, my vibe of the week
yeah.
of last week. You have this duality, and you're kind of at this crossroads, and you kind of have this, you have obligations, you have duty, you have the expectations of society, and then you might have these inner desires and dreams that you want to go for. You might have
Mm-hmm.
something that you want to do for yourself. You might have something that you feel is intricate to you that you want to explore. And so Sammy, that conflict is very universal. So it's not it's very, it's rich in culture, but it's also a very universal experience that a lot of people can relate to. So it's a very strong opening.
Mm.
He's standing at a crossroads, and we've talked about the crossroads. We talked about the
Yep.
crossroads in this podcast quite a few times. We'll go a little bit into that also in this. I won't call it a deep dive. It's a dive. Okay.
A dive.
It's just a dive.
A
All right.
paddle.
It might just be a dip. Actually, can we call this a dip?
A
Okay.
little dip.
A little
Yes, we
dip.
can. A
All right.
dip.
A dip. So Sammy, I'm sure some of you who watch Sinners already know, he echoes figures, blues figures, musicians like Robert Johnson, who a lot of people feel the character well, not feel, I think actually the character was based quite
Based
a
on
bit
him.
on his story. So Robert Johnson was a young black man in Mississippi, and he had this desire to play music, despite of obviously the pressures of that time where there was so much suppression, there was so much restriction, containment, there was so much adversity. um, uh, and he basically, he kind of goes on this journey where he's exploring music more deeply. Before the American South turned the crossroads into a place where, people feel, said, oh, the crossroads is where you sell your soul. That was kind of the myth and legend behind Robert Johnson. So I'll tell you a little bit about the
Mm.
story of Robert Johnson since we already mentioned him. So the myth is that he apparently wasn't, maybe he wasn't like very good at guitar, and then he went away for a couple of months, and then he became this prolific, amazing guitar player with skills that no one had ever seen before, otherworldly kind of excellence, and mastery of that instrument. And people were like, nah, he sold his soul. You sold your soul. Like, there's no way that you got that good, like, in that period of time. He sold his soul. um and it's very interesting because also it raises that question of, why do people always think, it's very common that a lot of, sometimes people feel like, okay, if a certain black celebrity is reaches a certain level of success, people are like, oh, how did you get there? It's
Yeah.
giving the contracts and everything. I mean, we yeah, I don't know, but
I don't know.
that is
But
out there
yeah,
in the culture.
if you
That's
were
out there.
back in early 2000s,
Yeah.
the conspiracy
Woo!
theories,
Whoa, my
I
God.
I was part of them. I was part of
Hoka.
them. I did dabble in conspiracy
In
theories,
the,
but
you are wearing the
that
tin
was all the
foil,
rage. Yes, I was
the
indeed.
tin foil hats. No, my God, those videos. Sometimes they'll play it for us in school. Guys, we
Are
grew
you
up in
what?
like yeah.
They never paid it for me.
We grew up in Nigeria. Sometimes I think there was a time in my school, like the music teacher just played this video of all of the Illuminati conspiracies of, yeah, and yeah, it's just confusing. It's
And
just
sometimes when you
confusing
look back at
as a
the
kid.
videos, you're like, "Were these videos even coherent?" Like you're like, what? You're like, oh, and they're basically like 2 plus 2 equals 8, and you're like, I'm not
And
sure
then
it
that,
quite does.
the music it will play like
Oh my
dun-dun,
god,
after
dude.
everything, dun-dun, and it's like, ooh, it just adds the emphasis, like, oh yeah, no, 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 yeah, definitely some soul selling happened in this place. There was some souls that were sold in this place because that music has convinced me something nefarious is happening at this
Yep,
point.
yep, of course.
um
Of course.
yeah, but moving from the crossroads as a place where, souls have been sold, it has a deep meaning in West African cosmology. For listeners of Nobi Juju, you remember our episode African Tricksters, Eshu.
Mm-hmm.
We spoke about Eshu. He's the Orisha of the crossroads, a divine messenger between the humans and the spiritual realm. He's an African trickster, but he's also a guide. Eshu is very he was very he's many sided. He represents duality, and
Mm-hmm.
duality was a big theme in Sinners. Smoke and Stack, had that duality, and even this conflicts that Sammy had, that's there's some duality kind of in that conflict as well. And Sammy standing at that crossroads, it's very, very symbolic, in terms of, because Eshu, as we know from African Tricksters, he supports people that are kind of, at the crossroads, and
Mm-hmm.
they want to make a decision and they don't really know which way to go. And interesting fun fact, I made a short film, kind of, covering, kind of exploring similar themes of crossroads and, a young woman kind of standing at the precipice of, a decision. Should I go in one way or another way? And
Woohoo!
actually, yeah, thank you so much. And actually, similar, very similar themes. When I was watching Sinners, I was like, because it was a similar conflict that Sammy had, that
Mhm.
the main character in my short film, which is called Driftwood and made in 2020, for had conflicts between Christianity and African traditional religion,
Mm.
whereas for Sammy, it was the church, the gospel music, and the blues. So when I watched Sinners, I was like, oh, Sinners came out after. Oh, it came out after. So I was like, okay, maybe watch Driftwood, or like, check it out, check out our
Yes.
page, at Female Driftwood on Instagram. Shameless plug. But
Yes.
it's relevant. So I was actually like, oh, should I mention it? Should I not mention it? But honestly, like,
Girl,
it's
plug that film.
I was like,
Plug that film.
it's very similar kind of topics that we discussed. Thank you so much, chick. I appreciate your support, guys. This chick, she was so supportive. Sorry, guys, this is really bad. This is really
I didn't
bad.
actually. I was like,
This
whoa,
is
whoa, whoa,
really,
we're going
really
into
bad.
this.
We're going into this. This is really bad. People are like, well, who do these girls think they are? Focus on the mates. Excuse me, please. But I just want to say, like, honestly, Lade was like the most supportive, during the film, process. And yeah,
Aw.
just been like, yeah, you are just great. She did the makeup for our characters and everything. And we did explore themes of African mythology, kind of drawing from some of the episodes and things that we've the stories and the myths and legends that we've discussed in this podcast. And yeah, she was there kind of, through the journey. And yeah, thank you, girl, just giving you
Yeah.
your
Oh.
flowers,
Yeah.
just
And guys, it's an
being great.
amazing, amazing short film. Go watch it. Um, if you can.
Well,
I'm not
well,
sure where. Do you?
it's not out to it's not it's
Oh,
well,
sorry.
guys, okay,
Look
guys.
for the nearest festival.
Well, okay.
Um,
Guys, honest, I wish you could see the video because we're both confused. Let me tell you guys, just, you can just follow us on
support.
Instagram,
You know
support
what?
us.
Support. Follow
So
on
we
Instagram.
yes, yes, yes. So we've started, we did a festival run. So it's traveled to different places. In terms of when it will, like, the full thing can be consumed, and who knows, maybe if you guys show some interest, maybe, that will also give
Exactly.
some, insight into, when to wider release or how to wider release it. But for now, it's just making its way across different festivals. So if it's in a city near you at some point, we'll let you know. But yeah, just follow us on
Yes. And
Instagram
if you
at
love
Female
about this
Driftwood.
podcast, you love what this short film is about.
Yeah.
It's it's in the
It's
same
in the same
sphere.
it's the same kind of sphere, it's the same kind of thing. So sorry, guys, this shameless
This
plug
is
was
actually
not
it's on a
intended.
tangent.
Oh, it's a tangent, it's a bad one. But guys, guys, this is full of vibes. Okay, we did not tell you.
Oh my god.
We just did our own ad. We just did an ad for ourselves. This is like an ad. Okay, it's just okay.
Sponsored
Continue.
by Drift. Sorry guys.
Sponsored
Sorry. Let's
by
go.
Driftwood Film. Driftwood Film. This is our own personal ad. Okay, guys, back to the mates, which is
Back
what
to
you're here
it.
for. Okay, all right. We'll do a sound effect here. All right. So basically, Eshu opens or blocks paths, through his tricks, through his, different riddles and different ways he tests people's characters. And then, but he also is a guide and forces people to confront the truth. So in the African Yoruba tradition, crossroads is not it's not a place of evil, really. It's more of a place of decision and transformation and becoming. And it's a place of, it's revealing something to you that might have already been within you, but it's like bringing that out. So when we say Sammy was at a crossroads, which again, it kind of ties back to what we said at the start of this episode. It's not about just good and evil. It's about like choice, containment, versus self direction. And so when did Sammy become more? When did Sammy blossom? Like he was this like little, I don't know, what flowers are, is it the tulip that starts closed and then it
Yes.
opens up? So he was like a little tulip, just, so cool and cute. But obviously when he sings, really is an otherworldly experience. Something bigger happens, and there's so much strength through that gift of music that he has, and that speaks to the black music in general. Like black music is so powerful. Like when I say that, I'm not playing. Like black music is so powerful. Black American music, so many legends, so much influence over the whole of popular music, different genres, rock and roll, rock, country, R&B, pop, everything. Is so powerful, and it really stirs something within your soul. And obviously we can't talk about Sinners without talking about that incredible sequence, where the
Mhm.
different musical, um the dancers, the musical music from different genres, cultures, that moment, that
Countries,
montage,
everything. Yeah.
everything. And it just speaks to the universality of music and the strength of music, the way it's able to really connect
Yep.
people from all walks of life.
And
So
also, it just shows
powerful.
how like music is just sort of like a self generating sort of force. Like all this, the sort of more recent forms of music would never exist without what came before it, and it's so it. I mean, obviously, even the blues would not exist without whatever came before it. So it's yeah, it just shows like the evolution of music and the importance of of that in yeah just in creativity.
No, music is like, it's timeless. It's timeless. It's the one thing that truly lives. When you hear the music of artists from old, it's really something special. um and the blues is not just music. It's a medium for black expression. Just as you said with hoodoo, that was a medium of black expression, in preserving culture.
Mm.
um and there's some roots, there's so many roots. And at the moment where Sammy kind of, that montage, he becomes what is called a griot. So or a griot, I don't know if it's griot or griot, but basically a
Oh.
griot in the West African tradition, they're like storytellers, that use different forms, poetry, music, to pass down culture, histories, stories, folk tales. And yeah, he was kind of a bridge across generations. And again, like there's a bit of a similarity with, Sammy's at a crossroads, but then through
Mm.
his gift of music, he's connecting realms, he's translating between worlds, he's opening it like almost like a spiritual pathway through music, similar to like Eshu, who kind of is
Mm.
translator between worlds and things. So very, very interesting. And this transformation happened in the juke joint. We spoke a little bit about the juke joint in our first Sinners episode, which was about the Ibeji, the twins, Smoke and Stack, which was kind of drew from the Yoruba Orishas. For Sami, the juke joint is a place where the black people control the space. Music is this communal place. There was so much joy,
Mm.
which existed out of the scrutiny and the surveillance that they were that kind of defined their everyday lives. So for Sammy, it was like a place where he could finally be himself. It was a
Yeah.
place where he could finally like transform and like bloom into this beautiful, you know, opened up tulip slash butterfly slash, yeah, thing. Sorry, I could not find a better metaphor for that. So obviously we've spoken a little bit about, the forces that are against Sammy. Obviously there's the dad, but then there's also the sharecropping, physically, socially constrained and limited, the structures that are holding him back. So when he just for one night, Sammy said just for one night, he just wanted to choose the blues. He just wanted to have that experience. That was a big, act of resistance. And that was a choice at the crossroads. And that's why I'm saying, like, this is there's deep cultural meanings to it. It also speaks to, you know, eh, anyone who, whether it's a power structure, whether it's, yeah, just you feel like you've been held back, and you just decide to choose yourself for a moment, and you through that moment you really know yourself, you really come into yourself. It's extremely deep. I don't know how Ryan like came up with this brilliance. Like you
He's
said, he's a
just a
genius.
genius.
I don't know, but it's so layered, it's so deep, and it comes from a place of deep understanding. That, yeah, you just, yeah, it's deep. It's very deep. Um, okay, the vampires now. Sorry, guys, this is supposed to be a bit of a deep, but it's becoming a bit of a deep with two
On the
piece.
splash.
A splash. Oh, that's it. That's better. You guys, I told you my metaphors are off, very off. So obviously the vampires, Sammy is a target. He wants Remick does not just want the juke joints. He said, "It's you. I want
You
you.
are actually the thing that I want to consume.
It's you that I want." So obviously Sammy's music is powerful, it's ancestral, it's transformative, it's special. So as a vampire, Remick is, he's wants to appropriate and absorb this, deep cultural, beautiful identity, feeding on the pain and the trauma. He wants his songs. He said, "I want your songs, and I want your stories." He's stealing his culture. He's wants to exploit it for his own personal gain.
Yep.
And this has happened. I like I said, I'm a huge fan of black music, through the ages, from the 60s Motown, the 70s, disco, the 80s, my favorite, New Jack Swing, all of that, the 90s, just amazing, incredible, incredible. But we all know that black creatives have been exploited. this is
100%.
something this is something that has happened throughout history. Black creativity has been exploited. So many incredible artists dying penniless, going into, drugs. They're drug addicts. Some of the greatest of all time, having some horrible ends. And it comes down to, you know it's this corporate distortion of what is innate, what is, soulful, the capitalist, thing that's going on. And this is a gift. A lot of these, incredible black singers, they started from, very deep roots. They started from, there's some soulful roots, there's some roots with their ancestors, there's some roots with the church. It comes from a very personal and deep place,
Mm.
and then you try and corporatize it. You want to make as much money as you can from this artist. You put them on all these shows all over the world. And sometimes some of those record deals that they were giving them horrible record deals, and they would steal all the money. Like, I remember
Yep.
watching the
Own the
new edition.
masters.
Yeah, on their
Yep.
masters, just a mess. So it's very, very important that Ryan spoke to this, because there have been a few, like, black stars that have been able to retain their, like, autonomy and retain, like, financially do well for themselves. But I would say, like, there's a lot of people that have been screwed over. So it's so
Hmm.
powerful, like that, Ryan chose to explore this in Sinners. Because it's such a melting pot of so many, so
So
many
many
he
things.
brought
And then it
so
was like
many things.
exploring the fact that, like, as they're being, as when Remy talks about it, a vampire, they are then put into like this hive mind, and then they lose their whatever made them special, whatever made them unique, whatever made them give them their creativity, their liveliness is sort of stripped away and absorbed and they don't have any autonomy anymore. They don't have any sort of free will anymore. And what actually made them, special is just stripped away.
And that's the next thing. It's so great that you mentioned that, because what Remick is trying to steal from them, he can never truly own. And that's why, it's something that's innate. It's not just
Yeah.
sound, it's not just technique, it's lived experience, it's history, it's ancestry, you know. And this music has its clear roots, and you can't steal cultural origin. You can't steal that meaning. So basically, once we understand Sammy, we kind of understand a little bit more about the myth with Robert Johnson. But the myth with Robert Johnson, people felt, oh, he sold his soul with the devil. Again, that could probably also come from a misreading of figures like Eshu. Eshu is so demonized in
Yep.
the West African religion. So anything that is crossroads, they will say it's devil. So again, the same demonization that we've seen in African mythology, in Yoruba mythology, is the same demonization that you're seeing, with innovative black uh, music cultural practices. When blues first came out, a lot of people said, oh, it's evil, it's wrong, and it seems like anything that comes out that's like uniquely from a certain from the
Mm,
culture, it's a certain certain parties are quick to label it as evil or wrong, which sinners really deals with. Um and yeah. So people now, then apparently there's been a lot of dialogue about this Robert Johnson story. Like, is it just a myth? Is it true? Did he sell his soul? But some people feel like it could have potentially been branding. I think it probably was
oh.
branding, because even I listened to the song, that he had a song literally called, I think, Crossroads.
Mm.
So I'm like, so
Get
I
that
feel
back,
like
sir.
he was like, yeah, exactly. So I think he was just trying to like brand himself and have a story. Um and actually, there's a Netflix documentary. Unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to watch it, but apparently it's really good, and I would encourage people to watch it if you've not watched it. It actually goes into the story in depth of Robert Johnson. It's called Remastered: Devil at the Crossroads, and it highlights
Hmm.
how little verified information exists about Robert Johnson and how much was reconstructed after his death. And then he himself was almost like a legend, shaped by narrative, this myth, as well as reality. Um, yeah, so it's really, 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 really intriguing to see. And so in Sinners, Ryan Coogler almost like flips the meaning of sin. So instead of blues being like this sinful thing, probably Ryan is saying blues is honest. This is
Mm.
healing to the community. We already mentioned with Smoke and Stack, by bringing that juke joy to the community, they brought joy to the community. And we know the deities that they drew from is the Ibeji twins, and they are healing deities. So blues
Yeah.
is healing, the music is healing and sacred. But the real evil, I think, in Sinners, that maybe Ryan conveyed, is this exploitation, this appropriation, this control, and this consumption of black creativity. So music drives a lot in Sinners,
Mm.
and each character connects differently. For Sammy, it's this conflict of identity. We've got Delta Slim, who's like, legacy, represents legacy. Perlene, who was Sammy's gal for the night.
Time is boo thing.
For the night was like emotional release, and the vampires, who are like, representing manipulation. And obviously, we can't talk about Sinners without talking about Ludwig's and Blues incredible soundtrack, which blended blues, folk, rock, hip hop, metal, and showing how a lot of modern music trace back to these roots.
Yeah.
So again, this film, I think, like just like what you said, like it's no one is perfect. It's not good or bad. There's flaws everywhere. The the twins were quote unquote criminal. They were not quote unquote. They were
They were
actually criminals.
actually criminals.
They were criminals, bootleggers. They murdered their father. Yes, they did all those things. Yeah. So there's a lot of flaws everywhere. Sammy himself was having an affair. Perlin was having an affair. There was a lot going on. So, but it's almost like help makes us question like what is sin? What is sin really? What does it mean? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I told you guys this is a deep. All right.
This is a dip.
This is a
We
deep.
don't know, and yeah, that is the whole point of the movie, and just the themes explored in it is that every day we will. I don't know if we'll ever find any the true answers to any of these things. It's a journey. We're bringing that back. We're bringing that back. It's a
The
journey. It's a
journey.
journey.
The
We're all just going through
journey.
things.
We're all just going through a journey. So basically, sorry guys, excuse me. Robert Johnson, so unlike Robert Johnson, so again, another thing that really strengthened the Robert Johnson myth was apparently he died really young.
Oh,
So that's another thing that made him like a legend, because it was like he had all these skills and he died very suddenly. So people were like, oh no, definitely he, something went wrong. He definitely made this deal with the devil. But for Sammy, unlike Robert, he doesn't die young. He actually lives. And actually he's played by the older version of Sammy is played by a blues legend, Buddy Guy. And we
oh, I
noticed
didn't
at
know
the
that.
end of yeah, we noticed at the end of the film, Stark offered him immortality. They said you can live forever. That was another moment, of crossroads. But again, Sammy chose to live his own truth, live in his own way, and he chose himself. He chose his path. He chose his destiny. He chose to pave the way for himself. And so I think the message with that is author your path, walk your path, walk the path, walk the path that is uniquely yours. Don't let anybody take what makes you you, what makes you special,
Hmm.
what makes you incredible. Walk the path.
Yeah, and the thing is that even this whole with Hoodoo as well, like one of the principles is that like death is not the end, like, and you live your time on earth and then you pass it down to the next generation, and then and he Sammy he's like he's done his time on earth. He's lived the life that he wanted to live, and he's made beautiful music that he's passed on to the next generation, and it's up to them to take that and run with it and then continue their own stories.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful. 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 And
that's it.
that's literally it. And Sammy is, he represents, every person that chooses self-expression over control and limitation. Every artist that told that your gift is wrong, and no, this is, don't do this, stay here. You know, you need to forge your path and stand in your own path and choose your own path and be happy with it. You saw he was happy at the end because he knew he lived a life that he on his own terms, and he was proud of it. Um so Sammy chose himself, and maybe, in terms of sinners, that's kind of what the blues has always been. Not the sound of evil or damnation or something that is should be forbidden, but the sound of something that's truly transformative, truly unique, truly coming from a place of originality and creativity, and something that inspired so many generations, like you said, from over time, over so many years. So yeah, I think that's enough.
That's the splash.
Yeah, thank you for that, for listening to me ramble. I feel like I rambled a lot this episode, but yeah,
We're here for
life.
the rambles. We're here for the vibes. We're here for everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this whole thing just shows, yeah, this exactly what our podcast is all about. Discovering that everything is a lot more nuanced than you think it is. Nothing is
Yep.
cut and dry.
Nope.
Um, and
Nope.
that's what makes it beautiful. Sorry, guys.
That's what
Sorry.
makes it
We will soon leave
beautiful.
you. Sorry, we'll soon leave you guys to enjoy
Yeah.
the rest
I'm
of
sure
your
you guys
day.
are just like, if you are still here, even at this point, I
Thank
don't blame
you.
you. Okay.
Thank
But
you for
thank you.
bearing
Thank you
with us.
with us.
Yes.
Alrighty.
So,
Our next segment, our last segment, the segment of the segments, African proverb of the day.
woo. Okay. So, should I go?
Please go.
Great.
Go, go.
So, African proverb of the day. Remember the wisdom of your ancestors in order to become wise. Short and sweet,
Wow.
self-explanatory,
That
a
sums
lot,
it up
a lot clearer than what we
than what we
normally
normally
do.
honestly, that's one of the most to the point, easily understandable ones that I've ever heard on this podcast. This is incredible. This is
Yes.
incredible, but it is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing more to say, guys. Wow. We're gonna end on a more civilized note than we normally do.
Yes.
Hope you
Yes.
all have, an incredible week ahead. Hope you love the podcast. If you did, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, follow us.
Subscribe.
And also, guys, we just made a Substack. So if you're interested to, learn more about Nobi Juju, keep up to date with things, follow us on Substack, share with your friends, share our episodes.
Follow Driftwood's
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yes, please at Filming Driftwood. You'll see also the link in the bio as well. And yeah, thank you all for listening and being with us.